Big Brother legends are out of the house and on the road. The stakes are high, the twists are wild, so let's chase down the drama of The Amazing Race Season 38 with Kinda Unhinged. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another The Amazing Race video, and we are on Season 38, Episode 4. So we began this episode with the teams being tasked to travel by train to Budapest, Hungary. Now, the first groups that arrive at the train station have two different options. So there's a train that will get them there at 7:28, and it has like three different stops. Like they have to get on three different trains. And then there's one that goes straight through that would get them there an hour later. All of the first teams take that first option, the train that would get them there by 7:28. And then the second group, they only have the one option, and that's the one that goes straight through and that gets them there an hour later. So of course those first teams, they thought, all right, we're gonna get there an hour early. This is a race, you want to get a head start. However, they didn't think through how exhausted they would actually be, because this was overnight and they had to keep getting up to change trains, and they were so tired, they were groggy. I mean, it was bad. And then the other teams, the one that were going to get there an hour later, they slept through the entire time because they didn't have to get out. So I thought that was interesting, because if I were in those early teams, then I would think, yeah, I want to take the one that's going to get there an hour early, and I wouldn't even have thought about the logistics behind that. And it kind of evened the playing field, because yeah, you're going to get there an hour early, but you're not going to be on your game. And the people who get there an hour later, they're going to be more well rested, and they're going to be able to take on these challenges. But anyway, we see the first group arrive in Budapest, Hungary, and their first task is to find the king. So they had to find the king in this pool. So there was like a pool full of people, and there were three different groups playing chess, and they had to find the king. So that was the only instructions that they had. So they're going up to these people and asking them, do you have the king? Are you the king? And Jazz and Jag were the first team to find the king, followed by Tucker and Eric. And they were given this chess piece, and Jag and Jazz were walking around trying to figure out, like, who are we supposed to give this to, or looking for a clue box, or looking for anything. They couldn't find anything. Tucker was like playing around with it, and he realized that it like opened up, the bottom of it opened up, and it had their clue in it. So Jag and Jazz were like, do you guys know where we take this? Did you take this to somebody? And they were just like, they weren't going to tell them, they weren't going to help them. So Tucker and Eric were the first team to head to the next clue. But before they did, they were given the option to do a fast forward or to continue to the next clue. Tucker and Eric were the only team that decided to try the fast forward. Both players had to solve a Rubik's Cube in 7 seconds at the same time. So Jazz and Jag, they didn't even entertain it. Tucker and Eric decided, hey, we might as well try it. So the first group, they all eventually get their kings, and they're hailing their taxis, and they're headed off to the clue. Jag and Jazz were the first group to try to get a taxi, and they weren't getting a taxi. And like the taxis were just going right past them. And then at one point, one of them says, hey, put your hood on. And then they put their hoods on, and then they got a taxi. And they said that this happens to them a lot, apparently, because of their appearance. Yeah, so that kind of sucked. So now group 2 has arrived in Budapest, and they are now searching for the king. And Tucker and Eric are practicing with the Rubik's Cube. Eric eventually gets it in under 7 seconds, and then they realize that both of them have to do it. So it took Tucker a little bit longer, but they both were able to solve the Rubik's Cube in under 7 seconds and head to the pit stop. So we see Natalie and Stephanie attempting the roadblock. And this roadblock, they had to coach horses in an obstacle course. Basically, it was like a figure 8 obstacle course. They couldn't hit any of the props, basically. So Natalie and Stephanie were the first to attempt this roadblock and to successfully pass. And then they had to go get their next clue, which was located at the House of Houdini, where they had to open up these boxes and find the clue inside. And now the clue led them to the detour. So they had two options. They could either do a juggling act where the teams have to juggle 5 rings, or they could learn a dance routine and one of them has to balance a bottle on their head while they're doing this routine. Natalie and Stephanie decided to do the dance routine. And then we catch back up with Tucker and Eric and we see them arrive at the pit stop. They are team number 1 and they won a trip to Bolivia. So back at the roadblock, group 2 is catching up to the rest of group 1 that are still trying to coach their horses without knocking over anything in this obstacle course. So Joseph was trying to coach his horses and they weren't even moving. Like they weren't going anywhere. And then Adam says that as soon as Taylor arrived, now all of a sudden Joseph knew what he was doing. Like he did great at the obstacle course after that. He passed it and he wasn't doing very good at all. And Adam's like, of course, now that Taylor's here, now you're showing off and you're able to coach these horses so we can move on. So apparently Taylor still has that effect on Joseph. Back at the detour, Natalie and Stephanie are learning their routine. Stephanie is having a very hard time trying to learn this dance routine, but they're trying nonetheless. And then back at the roadblocks, I have no idea why Kat let Alex do this roadblock. Because after seeing him last week, like how upset he got, I was like, man, I don't know if he's gonna be able to do this. He gets so frustrated. So we catch back up with Natalie and Stephanie, and they finally get their dance routine correct in the 5th attempt. So back at the roadblock, we see Kylan like meticulously coaching his horses. Like he's so good. He's like a natural at this. And he's able to successfully complete this roadblock and pull him and Taylor from last place to 6th place. And they head over to the House of Houdini where they catch up with Joseph and Adam, who have broken their key inside of their box because I guess Adam was just too strong for it. I have no idea. So because Adam and Joseph are waiting for their replacement box, Taylor and Kylan are able to open up their box and find their clue and pass them up and head to their detour. They decide to go to the juggling detour instead of learning the dance routine. And they do so well. They're really good at it. Now, on the other hand, Joseph and Adam also chose to do the juggling, but they're not very good at it. So back at the roadblock, Jack and Alex have successfully coached their horses and are heading to the detour. So the only teams left are Rubina and Christine and Hannah and Simone. Simone is able to successfully complete it before Christine and head to the pit stop. Back at the detour, Izzy and Paige get their dance routine correct on their first attempt. But Kat and Alex aren't having the same amount of success. In fact, Kat is now the one that's melting down on their team because they're having a hard time learning this dance. Specifically, Alex is having a hard time learning the dance, but he's taking it in stride and he's trying his best, but Kat is having the meltdown this time. I really like them, but they're so emotional. They are so emotional. Like, it was him having a meltdown. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, every week they've had a meltdown. She had a meltdown the first week, he had a meltdown last week, and now she's having a meltdown this week. I need them to get it together, okay? Learn the dance and keep it moving. Breaking down crying is not helping. So Hannah and Simone are both professional dancers, so of course they get the choreography down and they are able to successfully complete this challenge in 1 attempt. Meanwhile, at the other detour, Joseph and Adam are desperately trying to get the juggling down. I mean, they are struggling. We see them get to 57 attempts, but they were finally able to successfully complete this challenge, and I was cheering right along with them. So Izzy and Paige reach the pit stop, and they are team number 3, followed by Kylan and Taylor, who are team number 4. Jazz and Jag are right behind them, and they are team number 5. Christine and Rubina were the last team to finish up at the roadblock, but they made up for it by learning their choreography really fast and completing their dance successfully. Jack and Chelsea also complete their dance successfully after their 6th attempt. So back at the pit stop, Hannah and Simone are team number 6. Joseph and Adam are team number 7, and they are crying their eyes out because they had to work so hard in this leg of the race, but they made it, and I'm so proud of them. Phil said that he never saw 2 teams this emotional at the pit stop. and no one's getting eliminated, right? Rubina and Christine were team number 8, and then it's down to Chelsea and Jack and Kat and Alex, and they're both looking for taxis, and it's coming down to the wire. But Jack and Chelsea are able to make it to the pit stop before Kat and Alex, and they are team number 9, which means that Kat and Alex were eliminated from the competition. And that was it for the episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want more of the Amazing Race content, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please hit the like.